When blood ran low and the morphine ran out, World War II medics didn't quit. They improvised. Out there in the mud, surrounded by chaos, they turned to science, nature, and raw ingenuity to keep soldiers alive. They weren't working in clean hospitals. They were knee-deep in dirt, freezing cold, with bombs shaking the ground. Yet somehow, they found ways to heal. What they did with tree sap, salt water, and sheer willpower would shock even modern survival experts. This isn't just history. This is bushcraft medicine at its most brutal and brilliant. Let's dive into how World War II medics healed the wounded without medicine, and what lessons we can still learn from their battlefield genius today. When supplies ran out, survival took over. World War II medics lived in a constant state of shortage. Morphine, bandages, antiseptics, all rationed, often gone by the second day of combat. On the front lines, the difference between life and death wasn't technology. It was creativity. When cotton ran out, medics turned to whatever they could find. Cloth scraps, plant fibers, even paper. But, one of the most effective materials was sphagnum moss. Common in boggy areas, it could absorb up to 20 times its weight in liquid. It was soft, abundant, and surprisingly antiseptic. British and American field medics packed moss into wounds and wrapped them with any clean fabric available. The moss not only absorbed blood, but kept bacteria at bay. Some reports suggest it reduced gangrene cases drastically compared to untreated wounds. It's no wonder survivalists and bushcrafters still use moss today as an emergency dressing. In the chaos of battle, sterilizing tools wasn't optional. It was survival. Without access to autoclaves or alcohol, medics used fire. They'd heat knives, scalpels, and even sewing needles until they glowed, killing bacteria instantly. Smoke itself played a role too. In certain forested battle zones, medics discovered that holding dressings or bandages over slow-burning smoke could help disinfect them. The compounds in wood smoke had mild antibacterial effects, a trick some survivalists still swear by. It wasn't elegant medicine, but when your patient's life depended on seconds, this raw form of sterilization was the best you could get. The painkillers no one talks about. With morphine supplies drying up, medics had to turn to natural sedatives. Willow bark, the natural source of aspirin, was one of their secret weapons. They'd boil it into a bitter tea or apply it directly to wounds to reduce pain and inflammation. In some regions, especially in jungles or forests, medics even used crushed plant roots and leaves with numbing properties, primitive anesthetics that dulled pain just enough to allow surgery or stitching. What's incredible is that modern pharmacology later confirmed what those medics already knew. The earth holds powerful medicine for those desperate enough to look. Stitches from the wild. Thread and needles were always in short supply. Some medics resorted to using animal sinew, horsehair, or even thin vines to stitch wounds closed. To hold the skin together, they sometimes used butterfly-shaped patches of adhesive bark resin. In one recorded instance, medics in the Pacific Front used the jaws of ants as living sutures, placing them on the wound so their pincers clamped the skin together, then snapping off their bodies. Primitive? Yes. Effective? Absolutely. These men weren't just soldiers. They were survival scientists, hacking biology and nature itself to keep their comrades alive. Bushcraft medicine that still works today. What makes these World War II field tricks so fascinating is how relevant they still are. In a disaster, off-grid living, or survival situation, you can't always rely on modern medicine. Clean water, salt, fire, moss, and even tree resin all can be turned into life-saving tools. World War II medics proved that survival isn't about having everything. It's about knowing how to use what you've got. Their battlefield ingenuity laid the foundation for what we now call bushcraft medicine, the art of healing with nature and science combined. And here's the truth. While their conditions were brutal, their creativity was unmatched. They turned mud, moss, and mold into miracles. That's not just history, that's a masterclass in resilience. In a world obsessed with technology, maybe the greatest survival lessons were written long ago, in the trenches of World War II. Those medics showed us that the human spirit, backed by a little ingenuity, can outmatch even the harshest conditions. If you found this story powerful, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who loves history, survival, or just a good story of human grit. This is wisdom from the front lines, where the past still teaches us how to survive today.